Владыка Мора.
Дело в шляпе.
Let's do this!
Инфекция
Предсказано.
пошла. Мышцы сокращаются. Я бреду.
По рыболовной примете дело в шляпе.
Да. Разносчик чумы. Разумеется. Болезнь идет.
30 seconds to battle.
Инфекция продвигается. Да,
Here they come! Let's go!
не сбежать. Разумеется.
First blood.
Иду. Будем поспешны. Я нашлю на тебя порчу. Вексель прямо тут. Вперед!
Чума на тебя! На меня напали!
Гной очей твоих.
Токсический штурм!
Мышцы сокращаются. Инфекция пошла. Вздуваются гнойники. Болезнь идет. Иду. Несущий чуму возродился. Разумеется.
Призываю чуму! Гнус и гной! Призываю чуму! Был!
Разумеется. Я бреду. Красная смерть. продвигается. Да. Я нашлю на тебя порчу. Лекарство. Невзгоды. Что? Регенерация. Разумеется. Я нашлю на тебя порчу. Тебе. Инфекция продвигается. Я бреду. Да. Ты сгниешь.
На тебя.
Вперед. Болезнь идет.
Начинай гнить.
Инфекция пошла.
На меня напали. За тебя. За твое потомствие.
Невзгоды.
Не чувствую тела.
Money changes hands.
Убивать или лечить? Все едино. Мышцы сокращаются.
It will be harder to take down dire structures after they are fortified.
Разумеется. Будем поспешны. Инфекция пошла.
Призываю чуму. Гнев и гниль. Токсический шок.
Ты тухнешь с головы.
I wouldn't want to be in that middle tower at this moment.
Тебя порчу.
Время.
Не бывать. Невзгоды. Разлагайся.
На тебя. Призываю чум. На меня напали.
Инфекция продвигается. Разумеется. Болезнь идет. Мышцы сокращаются. Да.
Из твоих костей ты...
Да. Болезнь идет. Я бреду.
Еще рано. Чума на тебя. Разни...
Инфекция пошла.
Токсический шок.
Нет, 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 нет.
Иду. Невзгоды.
Displaying their usual lack of imagination, they're going straight for your middle tower.
Мышцы
Be quick about it. The
сокращаются.
middle tower is under attack. The good news is that radiant structures will be much harder to damage now.
Поспешны.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Шлю тебя порчу. Не вперед.
Моя плоть угасает.
At the very least, dire structures will be temporarily harder to destroy.
Из самого сердца вселенной. Lion's Heart.
Болезнь идет.
Чуму. Расстроил. Чума на тебя.
Разумеется.
All hands to the top tower. It's under attack. Go to the top tower. They're attacking.
Так, пойду.
Поздно убегать.
Superb. We've taken down their bottom tower. Well done. Your middle tower is under attack. For the love of... They destroyed your middle tower.
Мышцы сокращаются. Я шлю на тебя порчу.
Чума на твою голову.
Dire structures are fortified.
Инфекция продвигается.
Well done. Their top
Yes,
tower
sir.
is down for good.
Церемония смерти уже близко. Да.
Чума на тебя. На меня напали.
Порча вернулась.
Money changes hands.
Приду. Разумеется. Вперед. Инфекция пошла.
Да, вот так хорошо.
Будем поспешны.
Не уйдешь и ты. Есть форма. Triple kill!
Let's get back to the action. Protect the bottom tower, or it will be lost.
Моя.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
Всегда.
Oh no! The top tower! It's under attack! Dire's courier has died. Rather violently, I should add.
Мышцы сокращаются.
I wouldn't want to be in that middle tower at this moment.
Иду. Болезнь идет. Разумеется. Вперед! Будем поспешны. Стиль жуткая смерть.
Драгоценность из самого сердца Вселенной.
Я нашлю на тебя порчу.
Прекрасная порча на тебя.
Регенерация. Я бреду. Инфекция пошла. Разносчик чумы.
It's just in. Radiant slaves Roshan. Details unnecessary.
Чуму.
Болезнь идет. Атака. Военные трофеи. Вперед. Инфекция пошла. Да. Иду.
Dire structures are fortified. We've destroyed their middle tower. Onward.
Будем поспешны.
На тебя.
Разносчик чумы.
Yes. They won't be using that middle tower anymore.
Сокращается. Разумеется. Разумеется. Инфекция пошла. Мышцы сокращаются. Я не готов. Лекарства нет. Болезнь идет.
Призываю чуму.
Ты попался на крючок.
Разумеется. Да.
Токсический шок.
Разумеется.
Токсический шок.
Разносчик чумы.
Money changes out.
Я бреду.
На тебя. Призываю чуму.
Инфекция продвигается. Вперед.
Невидимость.
Я нашлю на тебя порчу. Будем инфекция пошла.
We now return to our regularly scheduled carnage.
Глубоко. Токсический шок.
Dire has wisely chosen to fortify their own structures.
Я бреду. Невзгоды.
I'm open all night.
Иду. Болезнь идет.
The enemy's bottom tower has fallen.
Навсегда. Инфекция продвигается. Да.
На тебя.
Unstoppable.
Разумеется.
It seems apparent that Radiant has chosen to strengthen their structures.
Нашлю на тебя порчу. сокращается. Разносчик чумы. Будем поспешны. Инфекция.
Progress. We've dropped that top tower.
Невзгода. Гной очей твоих.
Чому?
Твоих
The enemy's top tower is full. Rather like cover for you. I see what they want. They're attacking the bottom tower. Dire structures are fortified.
Посмотри вокруг, что
To the
происходит!
bottom tower. They've laid siege to it. The bottom tower is forward. The enemy's top barracks is forward. Come of this. A simple job. The enemy's top barracks is destroyed.
и день.
That's it for Radiant's courier, I'm afraid. Hurry! We may save the bottom tower yet.
Не станут тебя оплакивать.
Hurry! We may save the bottom tower yet.
Мое по начертанию судьбы.
To the bottom tower! They've laid siege to it!
Невидимость.
I can confirm. The Radiant brought Roshan down. Now I see what they want. They're attacking the bottom tower.
Monster kill.
Лекарство хуже болезни. Мышцы сокращаются.
Monster kill.
Чому?
Вперед! Сколько гнили! Ганишь на корню. Болезнь идет.
They've lost their middle tower to us.
Да.
Down goes the enemy's middle barracks. Advancement. We've destroyed the enemy's middle barracks.
Попался на крючок.
The enemy's middle tower is forward. I can see improvement in your every move. Enemy's middle tower offline. Congratulations.
Поспешный.
You will find your escape station engaged to the radio.
Смотри вокруг, что происходит!
По мощам.
by every different family. But today they don't do that.
Does it work without violence and structure, though? Isn't a part of the leverage to impose fear?
It could be, but it doesn't have to be. Fear could be in a whole bunch of ways. Let's say you're a made guy, you're a friend of ours. A friend of ours is a made guy.
Okay.
You're a friend of ours. So you're not going to abide by the rules. But you're not too worried because I'm not going to kill you. But I could chase you. I could get out to all 5 families. He's no longer a friend of ours. Don't treat him like that. You're thrown out. Now that's a big hit. So you lose your power and nobody will respect you. Nobody will sit with you. Nobody will recognize you. Sometimes in certain cases it may even be better to be dead. It's a good punishment, but the effect of not killing, when I was around, every family had a squad of FBI agents who worked on them, each family. The squad consisted of 20 some odd agents working on your family. From what I hear now, they're down to 3. They used all those extra agents to terrorists and 13, drug gangs, stuff that warrants it. So by them not killing, they don't have the pressure. And then the RICO law and the laws are crippling. So me, you, and another guy, we all trust each other and we go on a murder. Now, the way the law is set, you get convicted on a murder, there's life without parole. Every one of us have a get out of jail card free. Of course, we killed Joe Blow, I get pitched for drugs later. And I'm facing 20 or 25 years. I'm 50 years old. I don't want to do it. So I go, the government, me, you, and this other guy, we killed him. They don't trust each other no more. Because the sentences are so big, in most cases, that guys flip. Some guys don't want to go to jail. Some guys are screwed when they go to jail. You know, I've heard so many stories with guys, black guys, Hispanic guys, who stood up and got sentenced and were doing their time. What'd the people do? They took his money while he was gone, they screwed his wife, they did this, they did that. You're begging for this guy to cooperate. He didn't cooperate. And you do these things to him, so he flips. Or you sold him out in some capacity, and he flips. Like I did. When John told me to my face at the end of the time, he said, Sammy, the tape's horrible. They make you sound like a monster. What are we gonna do? So I'm controlling all the lawyers. You're gonna take the weight. The lawyers are gonna bring it out in court that you're a monster. You killed all these people, took over the unions, took over businesses, which I never did. During the trial, the lawyers will say, you hear John complaining on the tapes. Poor John Gotti. He lost control of this monster, Sammy the Bull. It's him. It's not John. So I will go free, and you'll do the time. I said, are you sure that's what you want me to do? In other words, I worry about the feds trying to put me away. I've been pinched all my life. I've faced that. I never faced my friend, my co-defendant, wanting to put me away. That's what they're doing, John. Is that what you really want to do? It has to be done. The streets needs me, the boss. You're the sacrificial lamb. I said, okay, you're sure? That's the way it is. And I got in touch with the FBI. I flipped and I was gone. That's when I did my first bid of 5 years. Then I was out for a while, 5 years, and I went back in on a 20-year sentence. And that sentence, when I started that sentence, I did 17 years, 7 months on that sentence. The first 6.5 years, I did in the hole, and I got sick in the hole. It took my teeth away, nails, it pre-aged my skin, most of my hair was lost, and there were reports, he's dying of cancer, he's dying of Hashimoto's disease, all these different things were coming out. But I survived it, and I'm back out, and I'm making my life again. Look who I am. I'm sitting with you talking.
It's interesting. But going back, what I'd want to do is even this, I'm curious to know about the Sammy growing up. Like you growing up in a family in Brooklyn, your mom, your dad, 2 sisters. I think you're the youngest of 3.
Right.
Who was Sammy growing up? What was your personality like? Even at 10 years old, 12 years old. I'm not even talking 16 in high school with the incident of you and your principal, you punching him in the face. Who were you at 8 years old? Who were you at 10 years old?
I think I was just like any other kid. I was dyslexic. I was a very slow learner with books, not with visual things or hearing things, but with books, stuff like that. The number 3 looked like an 8, so I was always wrong. So as soon as the teacher said, What number is that? Now, if it looked like an 8 to me, I would say 3. You're right. Not because I was right, but because I was wrong so many times. So an 8, I knew it wasn't 8, it was 3. And vice versa. And I hung out with kids, and I grew with kids. I mean, just like any other kid. My father was a painter, then he got lead poisoning and he couldn't paint. There was used to be lead in the paint. My mother was a seamstress. So she was so good at it, she worked in a factory in New York for a Jewish contractor. She used to make the dresses for the models that they were going to show the thing and sell it. So the contractor told her, Katie, my name was Kay and they called her Katie, why don't you open up a small little factory? You're great at this. So she talked to my father. He couldn't paint no more, so they opened up a small little factory together. They knew all the Italian people, all them ladies from Italy who was here. They all knew how to sew. And they all went in there and sewed, and they had a little dress factory. And then we used to go in and help from time to time. And I wasn't the youngest of 3. I was the youngest of 5. My brother died, and one of my sisters died before I was even born. And who was left was 2 sisters. One was 9 years older than me, one was 5 years older than me.
Did that feeling of you not getting A3,
5 seconds remaining.
you know, I see this, dyslexic, did that create any rage in you? Like, I'm a little bit different, why am I being treated this way, or not at all?
No, there was plenty of rage.
There was plenty of
Absolutely.
rage. Since
I got
what
left
age?
back in the 4th grade.
Okay.
I don't even know how old you're supposed to be in the 4th grade, but I got left back in the 4th grade. So now when I go forward, they're
10
younger.
seconds remaining.
And the teacher would say a certain word, a big word, ask somebody
5
to
seconds
spell
remaining.
it. I was in the back of the class all the time. And another kid to spell another word. They would get to me and say, okay, Gravano, spell cat. The whole class would giggle. I was so ashamed and rage I felt. After school, I beat the shit out of everybody. I was actually older and bigger than them, and I was a strong kid. I beat the shit out of all of them. There was no more laughing. When I hit the 7th grade, I got left back again. And at that point, I said, school's not for me, just not for me. And I hardly went. I used to play hooky all the time, and one day, that's how that thing started with it and the teacher. I got caught by truant officers who went around and caught kids playing hooky. And I was a little drunk. He brought me up to the principal. I was sitting in the principal's office and he was talking to the principal and he was saying, this is what they are. The upbringing isn't there. He used the word greaseball. It's a slur, a racist slur against black Italian people. That didn't bother me too much. But when he was saying what kind of people these people are, this is a result, these kind of kids. So at one point I got up. I said, this has nothing to do with my mother and father. They're hardworking people. This has to do with me. He said something about my mother and father again. I cracked him a shot. I broke his jaw, and I was thrown out of school. Months later, in front of the Board of Education, I was transferred to another school, McKinley Junior High School. It was in a different neighborhood, mostly Irish, Polacks. The Irish and the Italian didn't get along at all. I wasn't a bad-looking kid. I got along with the girls, but not the boys. Every day I was in a fight, in trouble. Finally, I get thrown out of that school too. I did find a teacher in that school who really tried to help me, a Mr. Mindrecki. I respected this guy. He knew I wasn't stupid. He just knew I had a learning problem. Matter of fact, he would even tell me, if you get frustrated, you want to walk out of the class, walk out. And I got to respect this guy a lot. And I actually wanted to make him look good. So I was trying to hang in, but I flunked that school and I was sent to 600 school. In there, there's all misfits. I was in that school. I think it was the first week. There was a guy sitting in front of me. He was dressed in, looked like a robe. And I said something funny. The class was laughing. And he tapped his book, his Bible, on my head, on my forehead. You shouldn't do this, and you're acting, you're the devil. After about the 3rd or 4th time he hit me on the head and he was talking, I hit him. I knocked his ass out. I was thrown out again of 600 school. The Board of Education called me. I was under 16. They said, he's out, suspended. On his 16th birthday, you can come here and sign him out. We never want him back in regular school. And if you don't, we're going to put him in reform school. So the next step was, it's like a kid's jail. So my mother and father kept me out. When I was 16, they went there and signed me out. So I felt rage. But what I felt and I saw the pain in their face. Like they want their son to be successful or do
С
something.
удовольствием.
It broke their heart. They never hit me. My mother hit me, brooms and mops and whatever, but my father never hit me.
Family of love. They loved you.
They loved me. They adored me. I was the only boy. I was a little boy. My sisters were older. They would take me. You know, they almost acted like a mother. One of them was 5 years older, one was 9 years old. They're much older than me. Then I found a gang, the Rampers, street gang, just like any other gang, I guess. Tough kids, we got together and fought and stole and did things. And to us, it was the right thing. We were doing the right thing. We were even helping our families.
30 seconds until we are
were broke.
tested by
At
combat.
this point, you're what, 17 years old?
No, I mean, I'm in a gang, I'm 14.
Oh, 14 in the gang.
14, 15.
Got it. So typically when somebody joins a gang, there's something missing in the house. Not a father figure or something like that, right? But you have love. Your mom hit you, your dad didn't hit you. Typically it's the other way around. Well, forgive mom because it's mom. What could have been done to prevent
Courage
Sammy
eats
Gravano from
stars.
becoming
Now.
underboss Sammy the Bull Gravano? Could the system or
Укажите
anything
мне
been
путь
done to
высшего
prevent it and
блага.
squashed it right there and Sammy goes a different direction with his life? Or
I don't
do you
think
Okay.
I don't think so. First of all, my neighborhood was entrenched. You see the movies Goodfellas and all those. It was entrenched with street mafia people. Now, we weren't in the mafia at that age. We're together, where there's the Rampers, fuck them and everybody else. We don't want to have nothing to do with them, but it's entrenched. After a while, they're my idols, especially at 17. You look up to these people. If you didn't look up to them or you went overboard in some way, you got killed in those days. There was bodies all over the place back then. So whether you liked the guy or didn't like the guy, you knew your place to get away from them. You know, I'll give you an example. One time, my father tells me he's just going to ship clothes tomorrow. I want you to come in and help him clip some threads, put plastic over the dresses that they're going to ship tomorrow. I'm in the back doing it. I see these two big guys coming, and they're cussing at my father about the union. They're union guys. And he's non-union. And they're cursing, they're abusing the shit out of him. My father doesn't even look like it's phasing him. Nothing's happening. They walk out, and I say, who are they? I said, the union people, don't worry about it. That's what I mean. They said they're going to come back tomorrow, and if you don't strangers out, you don't have money, they're going to beat you up, they're going to do this, they'll break your legs. I said, don't worry about it. My Bumbada, Savida, I talk to him, he'll take care of us. They got big mouths, don't worry about it. Don't do nothing. So I went back to the gang.
Жертвы не бывает слишком много.
I needed him again. And I told him. So I said, I'm going to take a couple of guys who go in with me in the factory. When they come back, if they raise their hands, we're going to break every bone in their body. So Jerry opens up his jacket. He says, Sam, no, forget about it. Fine. Look, he's got a gun. He says, if they raise their hands to your father, kill them. Give us a call. We'll come and get rid of the bodies and the gun and everything. Don't worry about it. No, I never killed anybody. I never even thought of killing somebody.
Слушаюсь.
Physical. Hands. I took the gun and I put it under my belt.
Времени ждет.
They raised their hands to my father. I'm gonna kill him. So I go there. The next day they come in. I'm ready. They turn around and tell my father, why didn't you tell us that you did this with Why didn't you tell us, Jerry? And they're talking shit.
After your middle
If you
tower
have any problems with anybody, give us a call. They're giving them their card. Give us a call. We'll take care of you. You can stay non-union. Don't worry about it. And they leave. So I come out. I said, Jack,
Тупая
what the
подать.
hell was that? What are you talking about? Savida. Now, I knew the guy because he was my father's brother. He was smaller than my father, and he was this big. This thing. A good wind could knock him on his ass. What the hell are these big 6'2", 6'3" guys? What are you worried about him? I didn't understand him. So my father says, I told you. We honest people. We work. We have trouble. We go to people like Savida, and they take care of these problems. Don't be upset. I said, well, that wouldn't happen. I would take care of it. How would you take care of these people? They opened up my shirt and I told him, my father, it's the first time I thought he was going to hit me. He flipped out. Give me that gun. We don't do that. I told you we're legitimate people. That's the kind of people we are.
Sammy, are you alpha or is your dad alpha? Like, you know, just because it's a dad doesn't mean one is a bigger alpha than the other one. Did you have more of an alpha spirit than him?
Oh, much more than alpha.
You're much more than him. So let me ask you, how much of you becoming who you became has to do with your environment, and how much of it has to do with your DNA and your wiring and the way you're born? Environment, experiences, teacher, H3, dyslexic, bullying, punching the principal, versus your DNA, your wiring.
I believe it's the neighborhood, the environment is one thing. I don't think it's my DNA. There was help in schools. I could have graduated. I got out of the 8th grade. That was my last day in school. I never even went to high school. I ran unions and businesses all over New York. It shocked the whole world what I did. It's in every book, every movie. I've met with lawyers and dealt with lawyers. When I look at them, I say, my God, what do you have? Dyslexic? What'd you do? In other words, you went to school with passing tests? He's dumber than wood. I think I'm smarter than him. So I don't think I can't learn. I sit down and I've done businesses all day long. I just got out of prison not even 2 years. September will be 2 years. I'm sitting down, going forward in Hollywood. I'm working on a podcast, a lot of content about my life. It's not an easy thing to get to that point. I'm working on a book, possible scripted show down the road. And I sit down with businessmen all the time. I sit down with guys, producers and heavyweights in Hollywood. And they say, a couple of them told me, Sandy, you talk like a gangster. You're rough talking. Curse a little bit, talk rough, but you're super fucking smart. You're coming up, you just got into this industry. And you're making moves and talking with people like you've been here 100 years. So I tell them, when your kids are born, make sure they're dyslexic. And they'll be good too. But I have enough brain. I related to when I watch the news and all the time. These kids who go around shooting. The news asks a million questions, just like you asked. Why? How come? We're going gun control. What's guns got to do with it? Now I'll put my criminal hat on. Go ahead, do gun control. Take away guns from all the good people. I will always have a gun. Every criminal will always have a gun. It doesn't come from different states, it can come from different countries. And if you probably, when you were younger, you heard the thing, a zip gun. It's a gun. We made silencers. So that's not going to help nobody. What it's going to do is a girl is home with her kids. Some guy is stalking her, he wants to rape her, but he's always questioning her. If I kick that door in to protect her kids and herself, she might have a gun and blow my head off. But take away all that protection. She's going to get slaughtered. What about how many times that people with legitimate guns save so many people or stop somebody who's completely out of their mind? This is a problem of people growing up. The first problem at home. We all know our kids, our own kids. You know if the kid's a little weird or he's really upset and he's not thinking right, you know. But nobody will ever call the cops or anybody on their kids. Feel like they're giving their kids. It's a normal reaction. He's going to be great. You wait and see. He'll change. He gets worse. So now he goes to school. The teachers see it, but there's so many laws and rules. If the teacher says, I'm going to send Jimmy to site, the family will sue, he'll get fired, so you tie him to the hands of teachers. So this kid just goes and goes and goes. By the time he goes out and shoots, God forbid, 14 people, there's always a line of people saying, yeah, when you look back, I knew this kid would be the worst, but nobody ever said that. They did not. That's environment. That's not dyslexic. That's not a slow learner, because the school system should never. If I wouldn't have been called dyslexic, or if they would have known how to treat it, I don't know what I would have been. I might have been a doctor, I might have been a lawyer, I really don't know.
Oh, so you do believe you could have gone a different direction if somebody got a hold of your urge?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is so, got it. So you did say there was environment, but now you're saying if somebody worked with you, tutored you, developed you, maybe you would have gone a different direction.
Absolutely. I'm saying the same thing now about these kids who shoot people. If you would have grabbed those people years ago and said, there's a problem with this kid, let's tutor him, let's send him to special places, let's take care of him. Maybe that kid, when he's 16, 18, 21, whatever the hell he is, he won't be shooting all these people. The kid is bent. It's not the gun. Now, if you took all the guns away, and one of these kids run into a disco, and he cuts loose with a bomb, instead of shooting 14 people, 60 people are dead. Are you happy? He don't have a gun. What are you going to say then? We shouldn't have bombs? Of course we shouldn't have bombs. But it's the kid. We're never going to the problem. And they always ask this stupid question, what can we do? How can we stop it? You can't. The guy is
It
nuts.
seems Dyer has chosen to
Even
strengthen their
gangs, street
structures.
gangs, the mafia, they don't run around shooting innocent people.
С
We shoot each
удовольствием.
other when we break rules. We don't run around shooting innocent people. People will tell you live in tough neighborhoods, Italian neighborhoods years ago. The mafia was actually a safe place for them.
Сдавайся.
They didn't allow a rapist or a child molester. I'll give you an example. I'm in front of my place I hang out. And there's this beautiful woman. She had a baby. Now she's back in shape. They're gorgeous. And she's walking. She walks right past where we stay. We're sitting outside with beach chairs, talking. It's not like the
Я
movies.
готов
People
отдать
hooting and howling.
больше.
Maybe on a construction site. But we don't do that. I tell my people, you do that. This is our people. This is our neighborhood. Don't do that. If I hear you doing something, I say, you know, we didn't do that. So you say to yourself, she knows she's got that baby. Why is she walking right past us on our side of the street? You know the answer?
She feels safer?
Absolutely. You don't want to walk on the other side because people will not hoot and howl. She's liable to get raped, or robbed, or something. And then I say the other side, it could be around the block. She's comfortable here. She knows she's not going to get hurt. Her husband allows her. They go on AT, go right past that. Stay by that. Because we wouldn't allow nothing to happen. There's a different vibe. I mean, even though
Это сила.
he was a killer. He was involved in 19 murders. I was involved in 3 mafia
Ради
wars.
высшей цели.
I was involved in 2 different
Be quick about
families.
it.
You could say
The
whatever you
tower
want
is
to
under
say.
attack.
But the reality is like,
Слушаюсь.
what do we do to stop it? Change the environment. Change the kid who's sick coming up.
Displaying
Change
their
the kid
usual
who's
lack of
relaxed.
imagination,
Do
they're
something
straight
to
for
help
a middle
these.
tower.
Intervene then. Years ago, there was, when I was a kid growing up, there was mental institutions. Then they took them away. There's no mental institutions. I heard Trump saying, we better start building them again. I bet your sweet ass you should start building them again. Put people in there, not to do time, but to rehabilitate them, to help them. Look what we have in cities. We have zones where safe
enemy is
for people who
denied,
commit
but
crime. There's
our
so
middle
many
tower is
stupid
lost.
laws that it's pathetic.
Our
It's
enemies
time to
have
move everybody. It's deteriorating in the country.
So your 4-second rule.
Oh, absolutely.
Very United. This is coming from a former underboss who, for the criminal, if they ban guns, they would have an edge. And you're saying to keep the guns is going to keep the citizens safe.
Listen, how many there's 300 and something million people in this country. The numbers just don't jive. And how many guns are out there? They say 200 million guns. So you had 30 shootings. I mean, that's nothing. How many car accidents did you have? How many drunken drivers killed people? How many? Did we take cars away? We try and control the person who's drinking and driving. We have to control the people who are going to have guns. Listen, I'm for the Second Amendment. But I
Створим
do think,
силу, что
on the
позволит
other hand,
мне
looking at it the
снова
other way,
жертвовать жизнью.
I used to go hunting. I would shoot a rifle. That was a bolt action. I missed the deer. I'd bolt it again. Boom. Missed the deer. He got away. They have guns now that shoot 100 bullets with a semi-automatic, like a machine gun. So in 10 seconds, he can unload 200 bullets. Do you need 200 bullets to kill a deer? No. So they can limit some of that power. Those, and I was in the military, so those are military guns. A 30 caliber. The thing you knock half your body off. What do you need a 30 caliber for? Why do they need a 30 caliber? You need a gun to protect your house. 38 handgun, shotgun, a gun with a bolt that only shoots one at a time is fine. You can protect your family. She can protect herself. So I agree with that. There's too much power. And when you get a nut and you give him that much power, then you're waiting for something major to happen.
So you leave 16, 17 years old, and you go in the military, you become a corporal in the U.S. Army. I think you take 2 years, honorable discharge. You go to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. You're working as a cook was your MOS. Then you get out. How did you get introduced to Colombo, and then how did you go from there to Gambino?
Well, I was introduced by, as soon as I got out of the Army at 21, I wasn't a cook. I was communication. I worked in the kitchen and had a problem in the kitchen, and it involved racism. There was a black guy serving, and I was serving next to him on the line. A couple of hillbillies came by. And I knew about racism, but not like this. The story in South Carolina was a whole different level. I never saw it. So when he went to him, the black guy right in front of me, he's calling him boy this, boy that. Go get that, boy. Give me more, boy. And I'm listening. Black guy was a pretty strong-looking guy. He didn't seem to faze him none. Didn't bother him none. And then the guy came to me. He started with me because I came from New York. Hey, boy, fill my tray.
Right.
So I got this
Now
long
back
metal
to it.
spoon. I'm filling the compartment with the beans or whatever it was, and it's starting to drip over. So I stop, and he looks at me and he says, he throws everything on the counter, and he said, boy, when I tell you whoop it on me, you whoop it on me. You got an empty tray and he puts it back on. Whoop it on me, huh? And I whack him with the spoon in the head. He goes flying back. But I wasn't all that smart because the next 2 guys were his friends. And his friend hits me with a tray. And I go flying backwards a little bit. And the black guy from the Bronx, he jumps over the thing and he starts throwing punches. I get back over, the whole place is in a heifer. We're fighting like crazy. So we're sitting, the MPs come, we're sitting on the floor, me and the black guy, and a sergeant comes. He's 78, something like that. He's in charge of the MPs, and he's a big black guy. And he looks at me and he said, you like helping black people, boy? He thinks that I jumped in to help him, but it was the other way around. But I'm not sure. I was going to take advantage of it. I said, well, that's what you do. I'm from New York. I don't believe in this bullshit. And he winks at us. I know I'm in trouble. And I'm never online again. I'm in the back with him, peeling potatoes when we come on. So that's what I was. But in the Army, I was in communication. So when I get out at 21. I'm right back in the Ramparts. Not even one day goes by. I go to the family, and I go right to the Ramparts. 2 years I'm back. And then at the age of 23, a friend of mine, Tommy Spiro, says his uncle, Shorty Spiro, his name was Tommy as well, wants to see me. And he's a heavyweight guy. He's in the Colombo family. He's very well known, a heavyweight. He was in the original Gallo War. So I meet with him, and he says, listen, I hear a lot of good things about you. I know a lot of things about you. You're going to get killed. He said, you're too damn tough. You don't want to listen. You can't run around. You're not hooked up. You got to hook up with people. I would like you to be with me. I will never lie to you. I will never backstab. Whatever I asked you to do, I already did. It was music to my ear. He says, in my crew, you're going to be part of my family. I joined up. I went with him. I started having trouble with Carmine Persico. Not trouble, like he was using me to do things. Give this guy a beating, do this, do that. And I was doing all those things. Now, his brother, Ralph Spiro, wanted to put his son in. So he has an argument with Shorty. Why you keep bringing Sammy to Junior? And I said, listen, bro, I don't bring him there. Junior's asking for him to come down. He tells me. And I bring him down. So a lot of jealousy. I'm behind my back. I didn't know that was happening. And at one point, there was a guy with us, Ralphie Roller. We went on a stick-up with another crew. And he gets into a gun battle with 3 or 4 detectives. And he gets hit 11 times and dies. I'm in Shipsat Bay in a dark, dingy, bullshit bar, talking to the old man, Johnny Rizzo, who's a main guy, a couple of other people, Louis Bolito, my Guevara Alley Boy, and a few other people. We're talking, and this beautiful-looking blonde comes in, short skirt, high heels, big blonde hair. In those days, I used to tease her, and she comes in with a guy with 4 built guys. and they sit at the other end of the bar. Very dark, John. You could hardly see them. You see them, but you can't recognize who they are. The old man Rizzo tells me, he says, Sammy, I think this girl is trying to make a play for you. She's eyeballing it. I think he's breaking my chops because we always break each other's chops and things. So I said, come on, John, she's sitting with a guy. We're going to talk. We're going to wind up in a fight. Come on, stop. And we keep talking. Louis Melito tells me, Sammy, I don't think he's breaking my chops. She's looking at you every 2 seconds. What, you stupid you don't see her? I can hardly see her. So how do you know she's looking this way? How do you know she's looking at me? She's looking at you. All of a sudden, a guy gets up and goes to the bathroom. And she gets up and starts walking towards us. Rizzo hits me in the back. I told you, go over and see what she wants. So I walk over, and who is it? I'm about as close as I am to you. It's Ralph Rongo's wife. He's dead a week and a half. I look at her, and she didn't have that hair like that. She never looked like that to me. And I said, what are you doing? Your husband just died. Who's this guy? She said, Sammy, life goes on. Life goes on. He's not even fucking cold yet. You can't wait a while? She says, I see the way you used to look at me. Maybe I could get rid of maybe me. What? Get the fuck away. I went into a rage with her. She got terrified. She left. The guy left. When the guy came out, we told him, he said, what's the matter? Get her and get out while you can. Go. So the next day she went to Ralph to tell her out. So Ralph takes this as a thing. He's going to undermine it. He don't know there's only people there. He's going to make up a story that I try to make her. She wouldn't go with me and I'm abusing her. He calls my wife. He tells my wife, Junior, call my person. He's going to kill your fucking husband. He tried to make Ralphie Rongo's wife. He's dead. He hangs up on my wife. My wife really is not a typical gangster. I come home, she's hysterical crying. What you do? What are you talking about? What did I do? What are you crying about? And she says, you tried to make Ralph his wife. What are you, crazy? Who told you that? Ralph called me and told me. He told me everything he said. So I said, Dad, listen to me, baby. Stop crying. This life is so technical. Make sure that every word you tell me is exactly right. Tell it to me again. If there's anything wrong, get through. She tells me the same story. She can't even stop crying. I go inside, I go in the drawer, I get a gun, I get in my car, and I go to Ralph's house. I go to the door, and we were like good fellas. We all lived together. So Ann, his wife, comes to the door. Hey, Sammy, what's up? I says, I had taken out the gun. I had it by the back by my ass. As soon as he came to the door, I was going to kill him. Right in front of Ann. I was so hot. She said, did something go wrong? Ralph took off an hour or two ago. Is there a problem? No, there's no problem. Just tell him I was here. So when I went to turn to walk, she saw the gun. And she told Shorty and Ralph. He came to the house with a gun to kill Ralph. So I'm supposed to get a tremendous beating. They're setting me up. The old man Rizzo comes to me and found out about it and said, don't go to this meeting. I said, well, how could I not go? These are my people. John, this is none of your business. You're with the Gambinos. It's none of your business. That's what you're going to be told. You can't do that. So well, you got to do something. What do you want me to do? Run away? I didn't do that. So he stayed there. We go to see Shorty. Shorty gets together and says, listen, John, this is none of your business. But John tells him, listen, it's none of my business. You're right. But I want to tell you what I saw. And he tells him exactly what. He said, Louis Melito, who's in the car. You want him to come in? He was there. Ali Boy was with the Genovese people. He was there. Mikey, who's with these people. He was there. You want to talk to all of them? That's not what happened. Shorty looks at me and says, I knew you fucking kid didn't do that. Wouldn't do that. And he gives me a hug and a kiss. He says, go home and don't come out until I let you know. Now, unbeknownst to me, the head of the Columbus, Carmine was in jail. Ali Boy Persico Sr. was the Gunzier. He was acting boss. And this went to Johnny Rizzo's captain, which was a guy named Tato Arello, right up to Carlo Gambino. And bosses made a decision on what to do. The next day I would get in Tato's car. I knew his son, but I never knew him. I knew he was a heavyweight gangster. He was a captain, a heavyweight. I get in his car and we go down to Carroll Street, downtown Brooklyn. They talk a little bit. Ali Boy Persico calls me on the side. He said, we know the whole thing. I should give you permission to kill Ralph, what he did. He mentioned my brother's name. If you would have got killed, your wife would have thought my brother did it, or ordered it. He deserves to get killed for that. But what he did to you, he deserves to get killed. But I can't tell you to kill him because he shot his brother. You can't do it. So we're going to reach a conclusion on what's going to happen. We're definitely not going to kill you. You didn't do nothing. And you acted like a fucking man. Were you going to shoot him when you got to the door? Absolutely. That's why I had the gun out. I was definitely going to shoot him. They already knew I was a shooter. All right, we can't keep you in this family no more. Because if we keep this together, it's going to explode. The Gambino's talk for it. We're going to release you to the Gambino family with no restrictions. We're always going to be your friend. You got to give me one promise that you won't hurt Ralph's feelings. So if that's what the decision is, okay. I turn around and get back in the car with Tato. We're going back. And he says, from here on in, you're with us. You're with me directly. You embarrass me, us, do anything without my permission, you'll die in this way. Right away. No questions asked. We went on a limb for that. I says, all right, I want you in my fucking club every day. Sit with me. I'm gonna know every time you get a pimple, every time you get laid. No matter what the fuck you do in life, I'm gonna know. I'm gonna get to know you better than you know yourself. My lifestyle's changing. And it's a whole nother story. I can't get into too much. I think I'm getting into too much already. People from the book, the podcast, are gonna go apeshit on me.
I guess the part is though, so now you get in, and at what point do you get introduced to Gotti where you and Gotti's relationship starts developing?
I don't need Gotti. Gotti does something and goes to jail for a little while, a couple of years. That guy they shot in the bar, he didn't even shoot him. That's what was in the movie, but that's not true.
Let me ask you just a question before you get there. I've heard two stories that Gotti and Junior never killed anybody. From your experiences, did you ever hear about them killing anybody themselves? Not putting the hit on somebody else doing the work, them doing it themselves.
I don't think so. I don't remember if he pulled the trigger, if he didn't pull the trigger. But I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't bank on him not being able to shoot you.
You wouldn't bank on him not being able to shoot?
Yeah, he shoots in a fucking hot minute like that. I don't know about John Jr., but the father would kill you in a hot minute. I didn't pull the trigger all the time. I was basically the guy who headed and planned the hit. And let me tell you really quick how that happened. Tato really got to know me, and he said, Sammy, why are you always the front guy in when you go steal? With your Gumbada Alley Boy, you go in, you're the first guy, stick them up, do this, do that. Why are you always the first guy in? So I said, I don't know. That's just the way we do it. And Alley Boy, he's my Gumbada. He's got my back. He's a tough guy. So he says, listen, I know he's a tough guy, but Alley Boy's not that smart. Would you agree with that? Yeah. He's dumb as wood sometimes. Okay, so you are smart. He said, you know what happens? You go in, he's taking you back. Something happens, he has to rearrange everything and make things happen so you get away. And he ain't got the brains. Don't you think it should be the other way around? He goes in first, you have his back. If something happens, you can react like this. He can't. And if he does react like that, it's always going to be something crazy. And I love him, boy. I'm not knocking him. He's telling me. And I love him too. My Gumbada. He's godfather of my daughter. No, he's reactionary. He just reacts. He don't think or he reacts. So I said, I never looked at it that way. He said, later on in life, when you go do a hit, it's not the guy who pulls the trigger you got to worry about. It's the guy who plans it. The guy who plans that guy can't get away, number one. And number two, that you all get away. You're a planner. Go home and look in the fucking mirror. Stop running in first. Think. Use your head. And I thought about it, and he was right. I thought he was 100% right. I more or less did the planning of it. But if you think that I would hesitate I'm pulling the trigger because I'm the planner and not the actual shooter. And it was said, anybody can shoot a gun. You're pulling the trigger.
Interesting. So how many of the 19 did you pull the trigger on?
I'm not even going to get into that because it doesn't matter. And by now I'm going to have problems with all kinds of victims saying all kinds of things. So I'm not going to get into that.
So in your world, calling it means a hit on you, meaning you, that counts as one of your 19. 19 doesn't mean that you shot.
Any role you take.
You know what I'm asking?
Yes. But any role you take in that murder, you're part of it. Listen, there's a couple of guys sitting here, okay? And we're gonna hit this guy, this one guy. And you're in on it, this guy's in on it. This guy here, over here, he's gonna pull the trigger and shoot him. You're gonna do this, you're gonna drive a car, a crash car. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And you're sitting in this room right here, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Your attention's gotta be around you so we can kill him. Now a guy comes, he gets up from there and walks over to get a glass of water or something. But instead of getting a glass of water, he shoots him in the head, he blows his brains out. You're sitting right here. You don't think this guy's got balls? Or you know what I mean? Or you take away anything from him, he's part of the hit. Law enforcement don't give a shit what you did. You're part of that hit. That's life without parole. You're a hit guy. But it's your function. What are you going to be? Now, today you might be sitting here. Tomorrow this guy might be sitting there and you're doing that. It don't matter who's pulling the trigger. It's a matter of how does it happen? How does it work? Where you're not just sloppy in the middle of the streets, and where it's perfectly done and you get away with it. So getting away with it 19 times, if you want to.
But out of the 19, it's not necessarily that you pulled the trigger.
No. I don't even think it's important who pulls the trigger.
You don't think so?
No, everybody in that room who's on this hit is capable of pulling that trigger. I don't want you to be the shooter. Maybe I want this guy to pull the trigger.
How do you call the shots on who shoots? How is that decision made?
On how I plan to hit.
But how do you choose one person over another person? Is it the case and how the relationship is and who's
I'll
the
give you an
least?
example with a guy named DB who got killed.
Sure.
And a quick example, because I don't want to explain the whole thing. But he's going to come in to a meeting. So we're going to sit at a table just like the innocent, actually a little closer. So he's going to get killed. Now what I do is I tell the old man Joe Peruta, who's with me, Joe, get DB a call. He walks over there, opens up the cabinet, takes a quick peek, takes out the gun with the silencer, comes up behind you, and boop, I get splattered. Do you think I'm less than Joe? I couldn't do this? You think this is a less position or a lesser guy? That bullet could hit me too. I'm sitting there. But what makes it work? I don't want to torture the guy. I don't want to wrestle with the guy. I don't even want you to suffer. This is going to sound fucking crazy, I think. But you're going to die. You never even knew what the fuck was. DB died and had no reaction whatsoever. It's like getting a massive explosion in your body or your heart stops immediately and you just killed over. That's what it is. So when I do a hit, it's clean. And I'm immediately gonna pick him up and put him in a body bag. We're gonna get rid of him so there's not stuff all over the place. It's a whole thing. So I'm a professional hit guy. People would say on the street just before we got pitch practice, this fucking Samuel Bull's got a contract on you, you're dead. You can't get away from this guy. Why? Because I had blinders on. Like this. The way I'm looking at you. I don't look at you. I don't care about the people who are in this room. If there was people, I don't care about my family, my friends, my uncle, my aunt, money, nothing. Just you, me and you. And I'm gonna pick when you're gonna die. And it's cold and calculated, and not that cold and calculated, because you come in here with your wife, with your kid. You're not gonna get hit. Not with me. You're not getting hit. We'll get him another time. But I'm on you like glue. When you make mistakes, I'm gonna be the last face you see. I'm all over you. Why did I get picked 19 times? By bosses. Colombo people actually first, then Paul Castellano, then John Gotti. Why am I being picked? Why am I in 3 mafia wars?
Why are you?
I'm fucking good at it. I'm what Tato said. I'm a thinker. I'm a planner. I'm not a thug. I'll give you another thug thing. One time Paul Castellano in his house is sitting there and he's talking to us like he always did. All the heavyweights are at the table, all of them. John Gotti, Roy DeMeo, me, everybody. We're all sitting there. And he says, you know, in our life, there's two kinds of guys. There's gangsters, who are thugs, and there's racketeers, who are more like business guys. Very, very rare will you find someone who is both. It's almost impossible when you look around. You're either a thug or you're a racketeer. He says, we have one in our family. We should be fortunate. You could have heard a pin drop. Everybody's head is turned looking at him. And he said, that guy, and he was, is that Sammy the Bull? He's a thug and a racketeer. My fucking chest came out 4 inches. My head must have blew up 2 or 3 inches. I couldn't believe that I'm being pulled out like that. And when we're leaving, I'm hitting guys on the back. You fucking thug. You're only a thug. I'm both. And I'm breaking chops. I didn't even realize what it was. And I thought, this is how my brain works. How did I become a gangster and a racketeer? How is that possible? It's impossible for so many people. How did I become that? Got the lexic. How the fuck did I become both? Stone cold killer, you could call me, and a fucking great business guy who could run unions. How did I become both? Now, it's my upbringing. What I learned from my father, from my mother, from my family. I absorbed that, and it never left me. How legitimate, how honest they were. How they never lied. I mean, that never left me. Mr. Mandrakia. I'm still mentioning his name fucking 50 years ago. Those things never left me. When I was in a gang, we didn't kill people like they do here. We just fought fights. When I go into the Colombo family, beat up that guy, rob that, hijack that, kill this guy, do this, do that. And now I go into the Gambino family, I'm sitting with Tato, and I'm learning about business, unions, all kinds of things. And I always played around with construction. And I was in businesses, they didn't work, a few of them. Had a fruit and vegetable store, didn't work. But every time my business didn't work, I never thought I failed in business. I just looked at the business and said, what did I do wrong that other people could have businesses and succeed? What did I do wrong to not succeed? So even when I failed, I won. I knew why I failed, and it would help me down the road. I knew that. That's what made me both. All of those things.
That's the highest level of compliment somebody like him can give you, to be an
I think
earner
in front of 20 different guys, all captains and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about as high, and I wasn't a captain, I was an acting captain.
Now, how's your relationship at that time? How are you and Gotti doing together, coming up?
We're doing fine. I don't really know God. I know of him. I think I was made in 1976. I think he was made in 77. So he was made after me.
Gotti was made after you?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So they kept it open for how long did they keep it
Oh,
open
it's
for?
open for years. It's never
Okay,
really
got it,
closed.
Got it.
So
Why did they close in the first place for 19 years or 18 years?
it was more than that. It was from 1955 or something like that, from 1957 to 1975. They closed it because some people were charging money to get made. Or some
Got it.
people were putting their sons in there who didn't really belong. I guess they got so frustrated with it, they closed it. And it didn't open no more.
Got it. So you're in 76, he's in 77, and then how does that relationship get started?
Frankie DeChico, I was very close with all my life. Every time he was a full-blown captain, I was made, and I was an acting captain. Tato made me his acting captain almost immediately, a year later. I would always patronize places that he would open, an after-hour club, a crap game, gambling. So I would always go and patronize. So I was there, and his father, Frankie DeChico's father's name was Boozy, was a made guy. He was under Tato, so was I now. So I was standing at the bar with Boozy, Frankie DeChico's father, and the door opened, and John Gotti and a few guys walked in, his little entourage. So he says, do you know this kid, John Gotti? I said, no. I heard of him. Matter of fact, he helped a friend of mine who was in jail, and he did it in a movie. He had a problem with black people, and they were going to hurt him. He heard that the kid was friendly with me. He intervened and straightened the whole thing out. So, and I was telling Boozy, he did something like that. I heard, and he says, yeah, there's a lot of good things with him. He's going to be like us eventually. But I know he's not a friend, but he's going to be. And when I say friend, I mean the main guy, when I'm talking to a main guy. He came over to Boozy, knew Boozy. Hey, Boozy, how you doing? Are you Sammy? Sammy, yeah. I met him. And he says, oh, Sam, I hear a lot of great things. And he told me about my friend that he helped. I said, I heard about that. I appreciate it. I said, give John a drink. I said, I hear a lot of good things about you, too, Bo. That's when we met. A little while later, he went in the back where there was a crap game. John was a degenerate gambler. So he went in the back, and I stood at the bar with Boozy. That's when I met him, in 1977. I didn't grow up with John. I didn't come from that neighborhood. They have me that we have a long relationship. We don't. I'm on a whole other end. I'm Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, Bay Ridge, Bensonhurst. You know, I'm in that area. He's in Queens, almost towards Long Island. It's not my neighborhood. But I did hear about him. I knew he was in the family, but I didn't know, I knew he wasn't made. You know, then he went to the camp for a while.
Was he overly ambitious on why he eventually became the boss, or was it something where everybody around said, no, this is the guy that's got to be the boss eventually after, you know, taking out Paul Castellano?
Read my book coming out, or listen to the podcast. It's too long of a story.
Give me the shorter version of it. Give me a glimpse of it.
I say it again.
Was John Gotti, was he overly ambitious where, like, you know, Frank Collada tells me when he first met Tony Spilotro, he knew eventually Spilotro wanted to be a boss. Like, he said it since he was a kid. It was an inspiration to him. Was Gotti so ambitious where he wanted to be a boss eventually, or was it something where people voted and said, he has what it takes to be a boss?
Oh, no. He wasn't, he didn't have what it takes to be a boss. We made him a boss. But Paul fucked up. He made a lot of mistakes. I thought the world of him in the beginning. He lost my love through a series of events, and he lost the respect that Frankie had for him. Paul had made a ton of mistakes prior, and there was rumbling and growling by us, the troops, whatever. A lot of things. He changed from what he was in the beginning. He got more greedy. He had so much fucking money. How could you be that? How could you be greedy? He's got so much fucking money. It's incredible. He just made one bad move after the other. He was fucking around with his mate. And this is not something we do. You know, we go out as men, we screw around. We're a bunch of dogs. We're in heat all the time. We got the testosterone popping out of our fucking shirts. But me and Frankie are in his house talking with him, and he's talking about Gloria, his maid, was questioned by the FBI on the street. She's got a Colombian accent. He's so good looking, that agent. So Paul's upset about it. Jerk off over here turns around, and I go like this. I said, Paul, do you want me to take care of this problem? He looks at me and he says, what? And now I get a swift kick into my leg. Frankie kicked me. What the fuck did Frankie kick me for? What am I doing wrong? Then he says, say that again. And the veins in his neck, now I dealt with him, I got his veins out of his neck a few times, but those veins are sticking out of his neck. And he said, what the fuck did you say? Paul, maybe I think I lost my mind right now. I said, I don't know what I said. I said, if you need me, am I saying something wrong? I get another kick. I says, oh my God. It goes away. It's over. We walk out of the house. Frankie gets on one knee, he grabs me because we know where the cameras are. We know he can't see it, so that's the way of hugging. He's hugging me. He says, you are so fucking nuts. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? What's the matter? He said he loves this fucking broad. He'll kill me and you for her. The 5th Cadillac in the garage, is a big fucking garage, is Gloria's. And Gloria dictates to his wife now. No. Sammy, did you see what reaction he got? You didn't do nothing. You did a normal thing, but didn't you just see the reaction? He was fuming when you did that. He's doing that to his wife. Now, he might have been fuming at me, but I lost a lot of respect for him. Because I told Frankie, he's got $1 gazillion. He can get the most beautiful girl on the planet, buy her a fucking house, buy her a Cadillac, make all the payments, go there every once in a while, do your little bullshit thing and go home. What are you, she's fucking 2 feet. Well, she's bigger than 2 feet, but 2 feet, fat and ugly. Besides, what the fuck? And you expose your wife and kids and everybody like that in the house?
Who knew the story behind it? With the
Well, they know. Obviously, other people know.
God.
I didn't know it. I'll give you an example of Cosa Nostra. That's crazy. Tato, who's my mentor, who talks to me and teaches me about Cosa Nostra, a different way than the Colombos, he says, one day I'm in the restaurant, and it's a neighborhood restaurant, and he says, I'm sitting with my gumara. A gumara is his girlfriend. You got your wife and your gumara, your girlfriend. You're treating her almost like a wife. You see it in movies all the time. He says, and the door opens up, and Carlo Gambino and 4 or 5 guys walk in. They go to the other side, and they sit at a table. Back then, you don't even reckon, you don't wave, hey, Carl, you don't do nothing like that. You don't even send a drink, you don't do nothing. You just look at him. You may have tilt your head like you just did, tilt your head a little bit, or look eye to eye. That's us saying hello to each other. You don't, this is a secret society and a brotherhood. Forget Gotti. This was back then. It's a secret society. He may look back and give you a little head shake. He's acknowledged you. Now, there's a guy sitting there, there's 5 of them. One guy gets up and he walks over to Tato. Hey, Tato, how you doing? There's an empty chair right next to Carl. He says, go sit in the chair over there, an empty chair for a minute. What's your girl's name? Rosie? Hey, Rosie, my name is blah, 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 blah. How you doing? And he gets into a bullshit conversation to keep her occupied. He goes over and he sits with Carl. Carlo Gambino tells him, according to Tato, how you doing, Tato? Oh, good, Carl. How are you doing? I'm doing pretty good. That woman over there, that's your gumana? Yeah. What's her name? Rosie. She's a beautiful girl. She really is a beautiful girl. He said, you come to this restaurant all the time, right? Yeah. You come here with your wife once in a while, too, no? Yeah. Let me ask you something. What do you think these people think when they see you now with your gumana? Oh, they don't think nothing. They ain't never going to say nothing. No, of course they're not going to say nothing. They're afraid of you. They're not going to say nothing. I don't mean to you or to me. What do you think they say to each other? What do you think they say when your wife comes in? Tato's girlfriend is so much prettier than his wife. Look at the difference in the bodies, how gorgeous that one is. You don't think they're going to talk like